Next up, we have Jamie Bothwell, News and Views S Scale 2 rail, a Loco Fi installation.
Okay, so as Tom mentioned, I'm Jamie Bothwell talking about S-Scale. So what we're going to try to do today is make this work, and it doesn't want to. All right, what am I going to do here?
See if there's a forward button on it. Sometimes
Yeah,
it,
yeah, it doesn't.
yeah, down there. That's the one. Use
That
that.
one. Okay, all right. So we'll go with that one. It's not usually it'll work with the arrow keys. Okay, so experiments with dead rail, trying out Loco-Fi. All right, a new Trek sponsor. So what happened was I was talking to a friend of mine, a number of things. There's a number of things that came about. Is that a friend of mine said that he thought Loco-Fi sounded pretty cool because it was Wi-Fi. He wasn't really keen on anything Bluetooth. And I was kind of hemming and hawing with battery, and I thought maybe I would give it a shot. And then Steve Sherrill put his program on a bit ago about what batteries to buy and whatnot. And um, I tend to be an Apple guy, so I have an Apple phone. Loco-Fi doesn't really have an Apple app, so I thought I bit the bullet. I bought this old whatever the other system is phone. Um, and it's a I don't know whatever it's a track phone, but I'm not the other guy. Whatever you call that other system.
Android is it
Android,
Android?
that's it. Right, Android. So the Android, so I bought this Android phone. I found it online. I paid $40 for it, plus shipping, whatever. Anyway, so I got that. After Steve's video, I picked out some batteries, and so I ordered some things. I got a charger. I got all set up. And then a friend of mine had actually given me a Loco-Fi module to try out. And I looked and looked, and I put it somewhere. I can't find the dumb thing. So finally, I just broke down. I bought a new one. And so there's my first setup. That's my first test right there. There's my four batteries that run off the two holders. And then I've got the Loco-Fi module there, the sort of tan thing in the middle. And that was just a CAN motor that I had laying around. I just rather than try to hook it up to an actual locomotive, I just hooked it up to a motor to see if it would work. And sure enough, it did. So I thought, okay, I got to move forward and put this into a locomotive. Um, Now I ran into a small problem, which was my fault. Uh, I bought a diesel sound system because I had intended to put it into a diesel. And when it showed up, I couldn't find the diesel that I was hoping to put it into. And I figured out why a little later because I've since found it. But I took it over to a friend's house, so it wasn't down with all the rest of the train. So anyway, the steam locomotive is currently making diesel sounds. So at some point that'll have to get rectified, and I'll put that back into the into a diesel. So I figured at the very least I had I occasionally set up with a modular group, and I thought it would be really nice to have a battery powered locomotive. The train I was hoping to run was maybe two or three passenger cars and a single diesel. So I thought, even if this Loco-Fi thing didn't work for my home layout, I would still have this set up to run with my club buddies. And I figured that battery pack would work pretty well. And I could power, for the amount of train I was hoping to pull, I figured I could get away with two powered axles and just disconnect the back. And so, like, if I had an F unit, it was gonna be FP7, and I could fit that into the back of the FP7. I'd have plenty of space to fit all that in. So, as I said, I haven't really had a chance to try that yet. So I found the FP7, so I got to get at that and see how that all works. So there's a close up of this was a steam locomotive. I thought, well, it'll all fit in the tender. Excuse me. Well, it didn't really fit into the tender. So I just have the tender. It's just riding on the tender. It doesn't really fit into the shell. The tender has a fairly large weight in it for some reason. And so it wasn't fitting in there particularly well. So I thought, well, before I take the whole thing apart to try and fit it in, because it's a diesel sound system anyway, I might as well just futz around with it a little bit. So that's what I did. So let's see. Moving forward. So now I got to do this and I got to do this. And hopefully that'll show up. And there we go.
So it worked.
So it worked. Okay, and then so let's see if I go back to here and I'll just do this moving backward and I'll click this and click that. So you can hear it's making kind of diesel sounds and it's a steam locomotive, but as I said, job in the future. Okay. And
Jamie, I hate to do this, but did you share with sound? Because I didn't hear sound.
okay, I don't know. I'm just playing it off my computer, so it doesn't it's not all that great anyway. So it's like I
Okay.
said, it's just a diesel. So, um, okay, and then because why not? Oh, I can't. Okay. I just thought, it's battery powered, so let's have a little fun. So, I know Earl's not going to be terribly excited because I can run without his track program there, but there you go. Who needs track? What the heck? Think of the layout you could build if you didn't have to put track down. Okay, so let's see back to my share here. Let's see, view slideshow. Okay, so back to the slideshow. Current future plans as they stand. Okay, so the next thing I would like to do is battery time tests. One of my disappointments is I'm finding that it seems to drain the battery awfully fast. So I'm gonna have to do some work with that to see why it's not. I don't know if you noticed, but when I was showing the run test, that was actually running off a new 9-volt battery that I rigged up to make it work. So again, this is all just sort of trial and error here, putting things together and see how it goes. All right. A phone range test. I took it down in the basement the other day to try and make it run in the basement, and wasn't sure. I thought, oh, it must be out of phone range. But then when I came up, I discovered that the battery in the locomotive had died. So I thought maybe I have to go back down and test and see if it'll run on my layout in the basement, or do I need to expand my Wi-Fi? So, and then I do want to test some different batteries. As I said, I need to figure out, like this system is probably good for a cab unit diesel where I have a lot of space to put the batteries in, but it might not be such a great system. This battery might be different if I want to do, as I said, a steam locomotive. I do have a couple of small steam locomotives I'd like to power, and so they are going to need some sort of smaller battery. But again, this is just sort of get me started and see what's going on there. Let's see, what else have I got there? Oh, and just in case anybody's curious, this is the layout I was running it on in the backyard. This is a little tiny layout I built on some bifold doors that someone gave me. This is actually half of it. There's actually two more pieces. It sort of wraps around a bit of a corner, not a 90-degree corner, but anyway, it does have legs, but it's currently sitting on the railing of my deck. So it's kind of fun to take it outside when push some cars around. But anyway, just thought somebody might want to take a look at that. I get on a Zoom with some friends of mine every other Tuesday, and I'm talking to my friends. I still fall asleep. So anyway,
Well, thank you again, and I appreciate the presentation and your
okay.
ongoing support.